Hey, welcome back to the print house, guys. So here's part 2 of this perf cut setting for the HP Latex. And I talked about doing in part 2 just to explain how I do it and what I did for my test to get it done right. Okay, so I'm gonna go down the line here. First off, you have to use 60-degree blades. You have to. You can't use the 45 degree that came with your cutter. You can't. It may work on some media, some not, but I'm going to tell you, I am only recommending doing any of this perf cutting on the HP Prime Air GP stuff because it's a flat media. When I mean flat, is it doesn't seem to curl up when it cools off. Like this Green Star stuff that I got with my cutter, it's a 6 mil, and it's really, the backing is really hard to cut. It's not like cutting the backing on this. The HP Prime Air GP, this is like 3.4 mil, I believe, and then the backing is thinner, so and it's easier to cut. The backing on the 6 mil stuff that I got with the printer cutter, oh man, it was terrible. I'm not even gonna ever do perf cutting on that vinyl at all. Contour cut, kiss cut, no problem at all. It's just the perf cut. Okay, so I purchased my blade, my 60 degree from Clean Cut. I've got a couple of these. I've got a 30 degree, about a 45, and I like it. These blades seem to work well. And I'll be honest, I'll probably only use 60 on everything from now on. I really don't see the point of me switching it out. But I do have two of these blade holders, so I do have a 45 and a 60 in there. But you know, just leave the 60 in there. It can do both. It'll do your kiss cut and it'll do your perf cutting. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, but I do want to make it to the point and help people understand so I can eliminate a lot of the questions. Okay, so the next, like I said, I'm only going to recommend doing this on the HP Prime Air GP media only because it's 3.4 mil. It's not as hard to cut the backing. It's not real thick backing, and the media itself is only 3.4, so it does cut well. It perf cuts well. When I'm gonna go to the program, to Flexi, and I'm gonna hold the phone to the screen only because I don't have the software in that computer right now that runs my printer down here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause this video, and I'm gonna do a setup on the blade here real quick, just so you have an idea of what I do, how I set this up. Okay, so just hang tight. All right, so we're on Flexi sign, Flexi print cut. So here's my desktop. Here's the files that I'm bringing in for demonstration, okay? So I originally set up these files in Corel, and the reason I do that is because I like to clean up my outlines sometimes, okay? That's just what I do, because I'm more fluent in Corel for setting up files. You know, what I do full-time in my job, so that's what I mostly use. So you can see I brought it in, and it already has these contour lines on here. In Corel, I have my palette set up, so I already have it named perf cut contour. When I bring these in, I can do that. So these come in with the contour layer named perf cut contour, right? The bottom row here is no contour cut, and I'm going to do those in Flexi, right? So if you're going to have a contour cut already done, you're bringing it in, that's fine. All you'll do is select each of your outline, or all of them at once, go to Arrange, go to Contour Cut, and you see the option here that says Make Contour Cut. You just select that, and then you just select your color palette for your perf cut contour, which, if you notice on the bottom there, that's what it is. And if you look over here in the stroke editor dialog, it says perf cut contour. So these are already set up for perf cut contour. Now, if you brought these in Flexi without a contour, all you do is just highlight, you know, the ones you want. Go under Effects, see the option for contour cut, click that. I set mine up for usually around 85 to 90 or 0.085 or 0.090, 93, something like that. And then select the color, which the color references the perf cut contour in your drop down. So I go to perf cut contour, hit the check mark. Now these are all set, ready to go. If I highlight them, I go to print cut. Now if you look under your contour tab on your rip and print, you're going to see the option perf cut. Okay, and this is where you want to edit your file, your cut file. Right now, default, it just says cut through. What we want to do is we want to go to self-adhesive cut through. That'll open up these options here. Okay, so we're in the settings tab, and right now you'll see my settings at 275, 304, 130, and 025. These are the 4 settings that are what you need to find your sweet spot for. Okay, so I'll just go down the list explaining this, and I drew a little diagram also. So full pressure, that's the full pressure cut through. This is what you're going to adjust to get it to cut through. And remember, this all depends on your blade setting too, how I showed you when I cut the vinyl without cutting that second layer. Okay, so that's your full pressure. That's what it's going to cut. Where it says full pressure cut length, now this is what the full pressure cut length is, the length of it is. So this 0.3 is basically over a 1/4 inch. So every 1/4 inch, it's going to lift up and only cut 0.2, according to my setting, at 130 for the flex pressure. Now the flex pressure is only going to, let's call it half pressure. So it's half of this, because this is going to be your tab pressure. This 0.25 is the tab length that's going to leave paper attached to the vinyl, the backing. And this is the pressure that you're going to set it. So if you had this at 275 also, well, this will cut all the way through the tab also. So you got 4 settings. You got your pressure, your full cut length. Now you can leave this at 300, 304, 301, whatever yours is at right now. If you want to play with your settings, if you're getting bad corners, then you can play with the length. Longer the length, the more cut through area it's gonna push. Same thing with the flex pressure. You want to have shorter length for the tabs, you would adjust that. Smaller number. Okay, now what I did was I drew a side view here in Corel. So this is looking at the vinyl from the side. If you're just looking at that box right there. Okay, this box represents, you know, the thickness of the vinyl, looking at it like that. Okay, so if you look here on the bottom, I wrote full pressure length cut through. So the arrows represent the top of the vinyl here to the bottom of your cutting strip, right to your cutting strip, the bottom of the media. So that's going to be your length that you're going to cut. In this instant, it was 0.3. It said 0.304 on mine. This is the length going from here to here. Okay, and the half pressure, I have mine set at, let me type it. Let's call it 0.25. Okay, so my half pressure length is 0.25. So that means I'm going to have cut through pressure all the way to 0.3, this width, and then it's going to lift up and only cut halfway for 0.25. Now, 0.25 is going to be, you know, obviously a lot less space than that. Let's just take off. Let's just for demonstration purpose, let's take off. So let's say it's this wide. Now that's going to leave paper here. This is what we call tabs in the CNC world. Let's call it. Okay. So the blade's going to cut all the way through here. It's going to lift up and only cut to that 130 pressure here, which is called half pressure length. And then as soon as it gets to the end here again, it's going to go back down, cut full pressure, and go continuous 0.3, and it's going to just alternate back and forth, back and forth. So that explains what those 4 settings are. You got your half pressure, your full pressure cut through, your length for your cut through, and your length for your half cut, let's call it. Okay? So hopefully, you know, I got a lot of questions since I posted the first video. I'm going to redo the video with this in here just to help people, you know, explain it to them. All right, so let's go back to it. Let's go back to the dialogue. So like I said, you got to make sure you're at a self-adhesive vinyl cut through. Okay, when you get in here, this is your settings 1, 2, 3, 4, just like I showed in that diagram. 275 is your full cut through pressure. The 0.304 is your length, full pressure. Flex pressure, which let's call half pressure, is 130 on mine. And 0.25. Now, different medias, you'll change all this. You know, I'm only recommending HP Prime Air GP just because it lays flat. It's good media. It's, you know, HP, and it's got a thinner backing. I haven't measured it, but it's thinner than that Green Star that I have, and that stuff I'll have to do tests on it because, you know, ultimately people want to know how it cuts on generic stuff. So, but that's it. You're going to go ahead and after you set these, you're going to hit apply. Oh, when I did this, I went up 5 or 10 increments. So I started at 250. That's the default. So I went up 260, 270, 275. You know, you can do 5 or 10. It just depends. You can do drastic. If you wanted to start off with what I have with the pressure, just make sure your blade is set the way I showed you. So that's it, guys. That's how you do that. Okay. So we'll move on to the cutting, and then we'll go from there. Now we're at the point where this is how I set up my blade for my cutter. You know, when you first put your blade in, and of course, like I said, 60 degree, I use 60 degree clean cut blades. That's what I use. I pull it through so it's about, you know, coming out about the thickness of the media, just by eye. And then what I'll do is I'll do a couple tests where I just push it down as if it's cutting, medium pressure, and make sure it cuts through the first layer and not the second layer of the media that I'm using. So this is the HP Prime media right here. So again, I just have the blade like this. I put pressure on it, make sure it cuts all the way through, which it does, and it doesn't go through the next layer. Sometimes I'll even go just harder just to see how deep I can get it, and still it doesn't protrude through the next layer. Do one more. Like, I don't believe the cutter is cutting that much pressure. So first layer is good. So if your blade's too far deep, you're gonna rip up your cutting strip, or just wear out your blade faster. So all right, so let me move on. As you can see, now I'm printing it out. We'll let that print out, and then we'll switch over to the cutter and let it do its thing. Do its thing. Perf cut. File name. Alright, so we just loaded the media. Let it set up the media. And then I'll do the barcode reading, and then it's going to automatically just go into it. Alright. Hit the barcode. Set tool below barcode. Bring it out. Hit play. Now it's going to automatically find the job in the production manager, print rip, and then go right into die cutting. Remember, I'm not doing a kiss cut. I'm only doing a die cut. If you wanted to do a kiss cut also, you can. But otherwise, you're going to get a nice clean cut either way. It's very important that you have your blade set up right, guys. It really matters. If you don't, you're not going to get the results you want. And that's it. I'm going to take it out and bring it over to the table. All right, guys, here we are at the table after we die cut them. As you can see, they're still in there. And if I did it right, they'll come out easily. See that? Perfect. I'm doing it slow just so you guys could see it correctly. See? So you don't want them to fall out because you want, you know, if you had a lot to cut, you got to make sure they all stay in there. So that's it. As you go, you might have to adjust your pressure, adjust your knife, just, you know, as you're cutting, as you're doing your jobs, because the blades wear out and you'll have to adjust to that. But there you go. Oh, drop that one. That's it, guys. Part 2 on the HP Latex perf cut. Hope this helps. If you have questions, just go ahead and ask like usual in the comments. I'm always willing to help. You know, it's a technique. Everyone's going to have, you know, if you follow what I did and what I explained, start off with basic shapes. If you get shapes where, like I did my logo with all that text, remember points are going to matter. Where these contours come in, if these are real sharp points, they're going to stick in there harder. But as you can see, these all came out, you know, perfect, and all those too. So, you know, think about your contour cuts lines that you're actually going to be used for perf cutting. These are easy shape cutouts, no big deal. And as you saw in the back, it didn't cut out, you know, they didn't fall out. So that's good for your cutting strip. So like I said, hopefully this video helps people. The HP Latex is very capable of die cutting. And, you know, you just got to do tests and play around like I did, you know, 7-8 times by the time I'm done here to get it right. But start off with the settings that I showed you, and it'll be in the right direction. But make sure your blade is set up right, guys. You know, there's other videos on there how to set up your blade. HP videos, they're out there. That is key to everything here. If your blade's too far out, you're going to tear up your cutting strip. And if it's not enough, you're not going to cut. You're not going to die cut. So hopefully this video helped, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit that notification. And again, see you in the next video.